Hey there YouTube. Today we're going to be cleaning the Fillet 7CI100A ice machine. We've got a couple of these in my office and we're going to be using Safe Clean Plus by Fillet Industries to do that with. This is following the manufacturer's recommendations of using this cleaner and following their instructions on cleaning the ice machines. We used to have a service that did this, but since COVID hit, there's been hardly anybody in the office, and they haven't been serviced in at least 24 months. I'm going to say more like 30 months, and I certainly don't want to drink moldy water or have moldy ice. So I'm going to first disclaim this video by telling you that what you're going to see is that I'm not using any safety equipment. No safety glasses, no gloves, and no respirator on. The chemical itself has a slight odor to it, but it's not overwhelming. It's not offensive. You can't smell it more than about a foot off of the water chemical mixture, and so I didn't worry about it too much. As far as exposure to skin, rinse your hands. I'm certainly not drinking it, and I don't plan on smelling it for more than I have to. Some of the tools that you're going to need to do this are a couple of 5-gallon buckets, maybe a 1 to 2 gallon bucket, and then a smaller 2 or 3 quart container. And you'll see those in use through the video. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do first here, you're going to see me starting to put the chemicals into the first 5-gallon bucket and mix those up. Just using a screwdriver to pop the top on it. Squeezing it into the bucket. Now, like I said, these aren't real smelly chemicals. The fumes aren't real noxious. I can probably barely smell it from where I'm standing right there, squeezing it in. I was putting 2 in and then putting in about 2 gallons of water, put the third in, and put another gallon of water in to start. Once I put that 3rd gallon of water in there, you're going to see me set that bucket up underneath the ice dispenser. First thing you want to do is evacuate all of the ice from it. We'll see that happen here just momentarily. Now, a couple things I forgot to mention in the tools are you are going to need a Phillips head screwdriver. I think that was about a number 2 that I was using, and that red funnel that you see there. Now, I would have preferred to use a hand siphon pump, but Home Depot didn't have a new one that I could have fresh and clean for this, and the one that I have is for use with my kerosene heaters. So all of that ice is evacuating from the unit. Just press and hold that button and let that bucket continue to fill up. Takes up to a good minute to get it all out of there. Kind of move it out of the way. It tends to build up right underneath it. Sorry for not having a better shot of that, but I'm a one-man show, so it's hard to move that camera and work that camera while I'm also doing the work. Behind the water side of the dispenser, there is a soft button or soft covered button, and you just press and hold that button until those lights shut off and the maintenance light comes on. Now that is a wrench that you're looking at right there. Go ahead and remove the ice dispenser chute cover. Next, we'll pull out the drip tray. Then I'll use that screwdriver right there to remove 2 Phillips head screws. They're pretty easy. They're not in there too tight. There's one left and right on the front of that unit. Once that comes out, we'll start to pop the front off and take the top off. What you're going to see me do here is lift up on, try to lift off on that top, which is a little premature. What you want to do is lift up and forward on that front control unit. It'll kind of pop off there. And at that point, you can start to move the top lid and expose the ice bucket. I got a little overzealous there too, trying to lift straight up on that lid. You got to kind of just lift it up a little bit and slide it back because there are 2 tabs that hold it in. Once that control panel is out of the way, the manufacturer says you can rest it on top of the machine. There's enough wiring for it to the touch sensitive controls, but there's not enough tubing for the water dispenser. So I just kind of let it hang there. I'll remove the insulation on top of the ice bucket. It's got a nice clear lid so you can see how much solution you have in there. And there's a chute dispenser lid right there that you want to screw on counterclockwise. That's supposed to hold back any liquids from the cleaning solution or the clear water that you use to clean it with. Now it leaves an opening about 2 to 3 inches. And I'm also going to misplace that bigger bucket underneath it. I'm going to need that bucket to pour some of the solution in there because it's got that nice spout on the front of it. It's a little bit easier than that 5-gallon bucket with no spout. So you'll see me replace that with a 2 to 3 quart container to catch any drips, because it will drip even though that lid's on that ice chute dispenser. Now you're going to see me get overzealous again here. I've placed the funnel in that 2 to 3 inch opening, and I want to start pouring my cleaning solution in there. But one thing I'm going to do is switch out to the smaller container to catch the drips off of that chute cover. It does drip, so put something underneath it or you might get a mess on the floor. Now I'm also wanting to start pouring my liquid here pretty quickly, but there's something I forgot to do, which is go ahead and pre-drain it. So this is before the liquid goes in. Go ahead and locate the drain tube on the left.
Empty bucket, locate the drain tube.
Place it down toward the bucket and pop the red cap out of it. Once you do that, it's going to drain any water that's sitting in the bottom of the unit and start to get rid of some of your initial debris out of the unit before you put your cleaning solution in. Now what you're going to see here, that's some of the mold, that black stuff in the bottom that was in the unit prior to cleaning. Gross stuff, folks. Going to get that cleaned out. Once that's all drained out, replace the cap in the drain tube and put the drain tube back inside the unit, and I'm starting to pour in my cleaning solution. That ice bin's got a clear lid on top, so you can see how much solution you have in there. I'll have to bring it up to where it's covering the coils as much as I can get it without it being over full or spilling out of the top. We're going to put that plastic ice chute cover into the solution and let it sit. Let this sit. So we're going to put that out for 15 minutes, let it soak, and then we'll drain it and rinse it. Alright, we'll let it sit for 15 minutes. We're going to locate the drain tube, point it down toward the empty bucket. Pull the drain plug, let it drain. Some of that, what's left in the cap right here, this tends to collect water as a downspout, and that's what you see dripping.
First time I did this, I didn't know that was going to happen, and I had to add a bunch of paper towels and everything to collect the water with it. So that's drained out. We're going to replace the cap. Put the drain tube back up into position. So it's running around in there.
So I've sped this up a little bit. Basically what you're watching me do is pour in clean water until it's full. You're going to see me take that drain tube down, drain it out, and then refill it again and start the process all over again. I'm going to do this I think twice or 3 times for the camera. Or 1 or 4 times total, but I don't want to bore you with all of that. And once you've done that and drained it for say 4 times and drained it for the last time, we can start reassembling. So. Now that everything's all fresh and clean, you're going to see me put that ice chute dispenser cap back into position after I've thoroughly rinsed it under the sink. I'm going to set the insulation back on top of the unit, and I'm going to begin reassembly. So the steps are pretty much just in reverse. Put the insulation back on top after that cap's on. Start to put that lid back in place. Remember, it needs to kind of slide frontward from the back so that those 2 tabs in the back can fit their slots. And then you can start to set that front control panel back into place, and it just kind of top down, press in. There are 2 hooks that hook into the side of the unit, and once it's in place, you can then screw it in. So I did have a little trouble there with that back left tab because I did lift up on that lid initially, tried to lift straight up on it, and it took a little more effort to get it back in. Wasn't bent too out of shape, didn't have to grab any pliers and fix it, but still took a little extra effort. Put that front panel back on, pressed in, snapped down into place. So now we'll just reverse the process of putting the 2 Phillips head screws back in, making sure that ice dispenser chute chrome is back in place. Screws on counterclockwise after being rinsed thoroughly into the sink, and turning it back on. something to note on that drip tray. There are 2 bolts in it that act as water sensors. So I did completely dry that tray while the cleaning solution was sitting in there for the time allotted. Because if they're wet going back into that spot, then they're going to alert that there's too much water in the tray, and so as an overflow precaution, they shut the water suspension off. Now here I'm putting back on the chrome chute after being rinsed thoroughly into the sink and dried, and I'm pressing and holding that soft button until the unit comes back on. So the unit is back on and it's ready to go. Slide it back into place and we are all done, folks. Well, if you made it this far, then hopefully you got something out of it. Be sure and use safety equipment. Just because I didn't doesn't mean you shouldn't. It's real easy to do, so if you want to save the cost of having somebody else do it, give it a shot. Do it yourself. If you like the video, be sure and let me know by hitting that like button. Leave any comments you'd like to leave, and maybe give a subscribe. Thanks.